Welcome to Routine is Revenue, the podcast for business owners who want a sustainable business without burning themselves into the ground. I'm Ildiko Seeley, your Health for Wealth strategist and creator of the Temple Method. Today we are talking about mental health from a very different angle. Not how to avoid stress, but how to train your mind and body to handle it. My guest is Sam Wones, a former Royal Marine Commando and founder of the Adaptable Human Project. He works with entrepreneurs and special forces to build real stress tolerance, not surface level calm. If stress is running your business, your decisions, or your energy, this conversation will change how you think about your own mental health and, very importantly, how it relates to your business. All right, Sam, I'm going to start controversially.
Oh, right.
Do you think that entrepreneurs are damaging their own health, own mental health, by trying to eliminate stress instead of learning how to tolerate it?
You're probably quite right there. Starting my own business, it's really clear that there's so much to do, isn't there? So many spinning plates. It's going to be really hard to eliminate it. And I think putting too much focus and too much intention on eliminating it and trying to ignore it is going to create more stress, right? So
probably
if you think about you trying to monitor your sleep too much and you've got sleep tracking apps and all this stuff, then it's just going to be a bit more stressful and probably make your sleep even worse, probably, for example. I think tolerating it, understanding it, and increasing the capacity to deal with it is massive, rather than ignoring it.
Well, what sort of suggestions would you make for tolerating stress in one's busy life?
I think having a good routine is really important. I think understanding the points are that you struggle throughout the day, when your attention is really good, when you can focus most deeply, when you can plan your day for the sort of deep work and the lighter tasks. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I was going to say that, how do you deal with that when you are a solopreneur?
Yeah.
And you've got 32 hours worth of work to do in a day, every day.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
There's so many hats, and I've never been into business, and I'm all learning all this and trying to deliver the service at the same time. So there's a lot going on, isn't there? But I've sort of on my phone, and I've split it into two different task lists. One's easy wins and one's hard slogs. And I'll always start the day, get the creative juices flowing with a couple of easy wins, pinging off some emails or doing a little, just the light work stuff, and then doing the harder wins when all that motivation starts creeping in. Do you know what I mean? Motivation, I think, doesn't come straight off the bat.
No, motivation, actually, that's something I preach about.
Yeah, right.
I call myself a determinational speaker because I understand that determination comes first. Motivation comes last.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to be determined to take the action, which then gives you the result, obviously, because you've taken the action.
Yeah.
And at the end of the result, you have that feel good.
Yeah.
And that feel good is the motivation.
But
next time you need to sit down at 6 o'clock in the morning to start work, that feel good won't be there.
No,
so you need to be determined again.
Yeah. So that's when you address your little easy wins thing, and then you increase the release of dopamine and your satisfaction, and you start building up. And then maybe that's when the hard slogs can start, and then you tail off to the easier wins at the end of the day when you're a bit fatigued and a bit sleepy.
That's so interesting because there's the other side of the coin, the other teaching, eat the frog.
Eat the frog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that book?
Yeah, I do. Remind me of that.
Yeah, basically start the day with the hardest task ever.
Yeah.
So when you do your to-do list, if you do to-do list or you choose to do all sorts of organizing things, I quite like yours, to be honest.
Yeah.
There are so many of them to choose from.
Yeah.
But the idea is that when you've got your to-do list for the day, start with the hardest one because theoretically, although I personally don't agree with it, not for me anyway, theoretically, your mind is the clearest to work in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, as I say, I don't really agree with it. I take ages to wake up enough.
Yeah.
So I do struggle with the morning focus session.
Yeah.
But I do it.
Yeah.
But Eat the Frog is to deal with the hardest task, and then everything else for the rest of the day will just be easier.
Yeah,
and then work your way down the hard from hardest to easiest.
Yeah.
But I do like the approach, and you're not the first one who says that, to just tick off a couple of really easy things and give yourself that instant dopamine hit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No one wants to eat a frog first thing, do they?
Certainly not literally.
No.
But then again, I don't know. It's interesting because one of the first things I do in the morning is a cold shower.
Right.
And when I talk about it, I do mention it that's one of the hardest things I do all day, and everything else just becomes easy after
that, right? Yeah.
What do you do? What's your hard? What would be your frog in a day?
So the frog gets forced down my throat first thing in the morning because we've got 4 children.
Jeez.
Yes. So the frog
rather you than me.
Yeah, is making the breakfast and getting them out on the school run and things like that. It's getting them out the door, getting the breakfast, getting them dressed, all that stuff. So
work is just one part of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
But every woken hour, we sort of organise ourselves. So life is part of it, isn't it? That you manage
absolutely.
yourself, and
you can't deny that one has a toll on the other one.
Yeah. And also when we talk about stress and stress management, you very much need to take your life into consideration when you're working out your work life, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So no, I don't cold shower.
You have porridge thrown in your face.
I wake up first thing in the morning and I sit there by myself for the first 10 or 15 minutes and just try and brace myself for the oncoming breakfast rush. Yes, I know I've got certain opinions on cold showers, but they help you. So you've got to be careful of why it is you're doing it. Have you heard of the term allostatic load?
No.
So allostatic load is the... Allostatic, yeah. Okay. It's like the sum of all your stress. And your brain and your body doesn't know, your sort of nervous system doesn't know what's causing the stress. It can't justify it. It can't metabolize what's happening out on the outside. So if you're waking up and you're in a cold shower, it might feel much the same to your nervous system as waking up to something bad happening. So your allostatic load, the weight on your nervous system. Do you know what I mean? I'm
just sort of trying to interpret what you're saying because the way I look at the cold shower, for a start, I don't actually take it immediately, although I have done straight out of bed. I find it amazing.
Yeah.
I take it after doing my exercise.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And to me, it's a time of gratitude.
Yep.
It's a time of deep breathing.
Yep.
It's a time of literally strength on every level, my physical strength, mental, intellectual, emotional, everything, all wrapped up in one. So I suppose, yes, I take on board what you're saying, that it's that stress load, but I go for over 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that sort of cold feeling kind of goes by then because your skin is prickly. But what happens afterwards is my motivation. I grin like a Cheshire cat. I'm just super excited and ready to roll.
So many things that are good about it. The research says there's lots of good things about it. But one thing I would say is that feel good thing after a cold shower is a dopamine response, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a dopamine response congratulating you for doing the cold shower. It's congratulating you for getting out the cold body of water that you've just fallen into, that your nervous system thinks that you've fallen into. And it's rewarding not the cold shower, but the escape from the cold water. And it's telling you your internal reward system is telling you to remember what it took you to get out of that cold body of water, not the reasons for getting in it in the first place.
But can I just embrace the dopamine hit and feel like I've just done something really hard and got through it, and if I go through this one, then I can get through anything.
I think if it works for you, that's the main thing, isn't it? There's no right or wrong answer with so much to do with wellness. I think if it works for you and it motivates you and it gives you that moment and all those things you talked about, then that's great. But I also think that you've got to be careful of the reasons that you're doing it, because it could just add to your stress load and ultimately tire you out for the rest of the day, essentially.
That's interesting, because I feel when I don't get a chance to have it, I really miss it.
Yeah.
Or is it just my body is so used to the dopamine hit?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think it's just down to each person and not forcing yourself if you don't want to do it, and also just listening to your body. If your nervous system is screaming at you not to do it, then maybe take it easy.
There's a huge amount of mindset in it.
Yeah,
somebody said to me the other day that I don't like being cold. I said, I hate being cold. My goodness.
Yeah.
It's not about being cold.
Yeah.
It's about your mental strength. It's about your physical strength, your emotional strength.
Yeah.
So much more. But anyway, we're not here to talk about cold showers, although it actually does fit very well with stress management.
Yeah, absolutely.
I must admit, I didn't quite expect your counter argument into
Yeah,
it,
right.
but it is
Yeah.
interesting, and I think it is very important to bring it to attention, because
Yeah.
obviously I will think about it differently now. So
Yeah.
there will be other
Yeah.
listeners,
Yeah.
or those who don't want to do it for whatever reason and think, oh, okay, then maybe
Yeah.
this fits me better,
Yeah, absolutely.
or gives them a card to
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah, absolutely. An excuse. So one thing that you can do is cold water on the face, on the neck, on your arms, to still stimulate that sort of response. But yeah, there's lots of benefits, and there's lots of things you've just got to maybe think about before you just rush into it.
Now, I know that you were in the Royal Marines Commando.
Yes.
So before starting up the Adaptable Human Project, what sort of things did the environment of the commando teach you about stress that potentially entrepreneurs, business owners, or just people in general maybe just fundamentally misunderstand?
Some people ask me, blimey, the Royal Marines must have been really stressful, and there were parts of it that definitely were, but so much of being in the Royal Marines, of being in that high performing team environment of the lads around you, it's tribal, and it's actually a really simple life. Okay. You know, you've got the team, you've got your hierarchy, you've got all these things in place that hark back to how it's supposed to be if you see yourself as a caveman, which we all are essentially. So there are some really simple, easy things, and I think rather than a stress management thing in terms of fighting the negative, if you look at the positives in your life and you embrace that stuff, the teamwork, the communication, the safety, the environment, I think that's maybe a slightly different take on it.
That's certainly the misconception then, isn't it?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, and I never deployed to Afghanistan, for example, so I can't talk on trauma and combat stress stuff from my own experience. So there's obviously a lot of stuff to do there. And when we're in basic training, getting told that we're rubbish and getting shouted at and thrashed, that's pretty stressful, undeniably. But the life of, the 10 and a half years that I spent in the Marines, it was a really happy time. Some flecks of stress, but the community and the spirit and the ethos that is really important. And I think that's what's missing a lot in some teams in corporate maybe and in modern life.
That's really interesting. The word that jumped out at me was the hierarchy, and it just reminded me of a friend telling me years ago, he was in the Marines as well for the full term, that it's so easy. You look at how many stripes they've got on their shoulder, and you immediately know whether they are above you or below you. And the hierarchy of who you listen to and how you listen to them and how you respond to them is just a given. You learn it and it's done. And you've got no issues. And then coming out into the civil world, nobody knows what they're doing. Teams don't work. Everybody's ego is bigger than it should be.
Definitely. All that the military hierarchy is, some people are promoted when they shouldn't be, and some people aren't promoted when they should be, and it doesn't always work. But I think having that structure that means you don't have to worry about it and wonder what their title is and what their role is and all this, and who you report to, and all that stuff.
Should and shouldn't be promoted works in the civil world as well.
Absolutely.
But then
you're right.
the hierarchy is still missing of how you listen to people, how you take their advice. So nowadays, now that you are out of the forces, you work with entrepreneurs, and I also believe that you work with special forces.
I have done a bit of work with those guys.
So how do you define good mental health? Is it about being calm and relaxed, or is it about something else?
I think the idea that you've got to be calm and relaxed is a bit of a misconception. I think being calm and being relaxed and being maybe zen all the time isn't the aim. That's not what the nervous system is designed for. Sometimes people ask me, I must be zen all the time. And it's not.
But just because you teach stress management.
And it's not true. Quite the opposite sometimes.
With 4 children, yes, absolutely.
But the nervous system is built for mobilization. It's built for action. It's built for hunting and gathering. So I think it's about embracing that rather than trying to chill out and relax. The relaxing too much looks more like burnout, looks more like depression and disassociation and distraction than maybe the stress part, the engagement, the performance side of it.
If you are listening to this thinking this is exactly where I get stuck, that's not accidental. This is the work I do privately with business owners who want sustainable performance without it costing them their health. If it resonates, you will find the link in the show notes. when you're working with people, do you analyze their personalities in any way? The story that sort of came to mind was we were finishing a university course. Now,
Yep.
I went to university at the age of 38.
Right.
So like literally 20 years later, so
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of turned into 18 with 20 years of life experience, which
Yeah.
is brilliant from my point of view.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple of youngsters who
Yeah.
came there at sort of 18, 19, and then
Yeah.
a few in their mid-20s, in my course anyway.
Yeah.
At the end of the 3 years, we were sort of comparing stress levels of the whole course by
Right.
how much we cried.
Right.
Now, I'm a very emotional person,
Okay.
and I cried all the way through.
Right.
Very, very emotional.
Right.
And there was one girl who never once shed a single tear.
Yeah.
She
Right.
just went through the whole lot. I mean, there were stressful times, but
Yeah.
it didn't manifest itself in tears.
Yeah.
So is that something, an indication of a personality type?
Because she didn't cry because she wasn't stressed or overwhelmed, or
I think I'm trying to remember, but I mean, that was nearly 6 years ago that I graduated. But I think she just sort of partially took it in her stride.
Yeah.
She just didn't fret about it. She
Yeah,
did
yeah.
the work that had to be done.
yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, she must have faced some stressful bits where she may have struggled a little bit of how to deal with project work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this is the conversation I just remember from the very end.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I never cried,
Yeah. Right.
said her.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I cried through the whole lot.
I cried this morning in that weather.
So how does the personality type come into stress management?
I think it's so personal, isn't it? It's not just one size fits all. And when you, it's important to remember that when you feel those feelings of stress, it's down to your belief about the stressor, right? The thing that's causing it. It's important to define stressor and stress, and in
Right.
between those two pieces is your belief about it.
Can you give us some examples? Go with your
so-
children. So what was the stressor
What-
in the morning for you?
Do you mind if I use a different example? We'll get
Yeah,
back
go.
to the kids one, because I'd like to get into that a bit more.
Okay.
But for example, an engine light on your car dashboard comes up.
Right.
Personally, so that's a stressor.
Right. Okay.
that
Because
thing,
it
that's
sends off the alarm
Yes,
system.
but how you interpret that, I don't know anything about vehicles or mechanic stuff, and I
Okay.
need my vehicles to get around and all that stuff. So that belief about it is the missing link between the stress that I then feel. If you're someone that has a mate who's a mechanic, he can book you straight in, or you know what to do, or you know this and that about your belief about the stressor means that you don't have a stress response.
Okay. I'm trying to interpret what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
It's really interesting.
So it's all about that belief is all about your capacity. Do you have the capacity to deal with the stressor or not? And if you do have the capacity to deal with the stressor, the stressful feelings become challenge, which is a positive thing, rather than threat, which is a negative thing. If there's a sports example coming up and there's a big tournament, and the tournament is the stressor, but your belief about that stressor is that you've trained well, you've slept well, you've eaten well, you feel confident going into it, it's still going to be a challenge because you've
well, of course, it's a tournament.
it's a tournament, and it's going to take your
clues in the name.
and it's going to take
I
your
was going to say,
focus.
can we try and come up with business examples?
Yeah, right.
Anything. I mean, okay, from my point of view, so I'm training to be a speaker, a public speaker.
Yeah, right.
Now, funny enough, I actually say that I don't really have that. Like people, literally, I've watched a guy who is like really confident and, a bit of a lad and all that.
Yeah,
He's
right.
a solicitor, partnered in a solicitor's
Right.
firm. He comes along to my networking event and he's all that, but he's also our sponsor.
Yeah,
So we had our anniversary event and I literally shoved the microphone in his hand.
yeah,
and
right.
He went white in the face. Now, bearing in mind, he's a black guy. He went white in the face
Right.
just by the sheer thought that he's going to have to hold a microphone and talk.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, what are you on
That doesn't
about?
make
So
sense.
yes, to him, that microphone was
Yes.
a huge stressor, even though
Yeah,
he
yeah.
then started talking and he was absolutely fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But like in other business situations, it could be literally anything, like talking to a client,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
getting that first sale,
Yeah, yeah.
launching something new.
Yeah. You might know
So
your
then-
stuff really well, but then it doesn't translate because your belief and your experience and stuff about how your experience of public speaking from the past. Cognitive behavioural therapy calls it the ABC thing. The actuating event is the stressor. The B
Okay.
is the belief that you have
Belief,
around
yeah.
it. And then the C is the consequence, so how you feel and how you act based on your belief.
So what can
yeah.
be controlled in this system?
It's really hard to pull yourself out of a stressful moment, isn't it? if you're stressed, it's really hard to pull yourself out. And if we could have pulled ourselves out of cavemen of being stressed and overwhelmed, we've probably been eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. Stress is there to, like I said, to make you act and survive and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if there's a moment to analyze what it is causing it, quite often it comes down to, is it critique? Is it social critique? Is it unknown, fear of the unknown?
Inner critique, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it a novel, new experience? Or is there threat there to your reputation, your finances, your family? Is it physical threat? So it comes down to those sort of, it's a bit of an acronym, CUNT. So
it isn't, is it?
I don't know. Yeah. So and it's up, and if you can like maybe break away the layers and see, is this thing that's causing me stress because I'm going to be critiqued by my wife or my colleagues or my friends? That's really important, isn't it? Is social, how you fit into the social dynamic into the tribe. Is it that it's an unknown experience? The fear of the unknown is obviously massive. I don't know how I'm going to react.
And I think that literally paralyzes way too many people from, preventing them doing all sorts of good things.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown. I mean, I think we all experience it literally every single day.
Yeah.
How can you train people to manage this kind of stress response?
Firstly, it's about you're upholding beliefs. So if there's a table and this fear is on the top of it, it's held up by the four legs, right? And you've got to look at, what are my beliefs about this that's holding it up? Is it past experience, or is it? It could be a number. It could be a number of things based on what's happening.
So, do you work through these belief system with your clients?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And you can really analyze and actually, can you take that away?
Yeah, but then the table will fall.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the point. Is that
then get rid of the stress.
Rid of the stress.
Oh, okay. Interesting analysis.
To reframe what's going on.
The idea would be to keep the table upright no matter what.
Yeah, no.
Is it a good analysis?
Maybe I need a different
because it's
metaphor.
A bit of a
yeah.
To me, I don't know. To me, it would be like the whole point would be to keep the.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe I'll flip it upside down. You need to build the table with positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, you need the stress to come crashing down, don't you? That's the aim.
Yeah, definitely. We need the stress to come down. So yeah, we talked about that we need to be aware.
Yep.
We also need to be aware of our belief system. I think that's a really, really important part, isn't it? So what kind of techniques are there that we can apply every single day even?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one way of thinking about stress is your belief system and the reactions that causes for you. But another huge thing is just in that moment is the pressure, is the overwhelm of a certain moment. And this is the kids thing that you're talking about.
I was just about to say that if somebody's completely, a client comes to you and completely overwhelmed, where do you start?
A great way is to say, and I did this the other day with a client, I said, just give me 24 hours of your day and we'll see where those sort of choke points are, where those main stressful events happen. And
6 a.m. kids get up.
Yeah. And for me, as your question earlier, was that moment when you're in the kitchen making breakfast and there's a poo in a nappy and there's a one kid shouting to the other one and kettle's boiling in the oven and there's all these noises and stimulus and all this heat and you're overwhelmed, aren't you? Suddenly, you know each morning that you can do it. It's not a threat. You know you can make breakfast and get them in the bath and get them on the school run.
And kind of go like, la, 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 la.
Yeah. But why is that? So the belief isn't there. The belief about your capacity is that you can do it, you do it every day and it's fine. But the overwhelm, why does that happen? Your long-term and your short-term memory, right? Your short-term memory is your working memory. And you can remember 7 or 9 things. If you go to it's around 7 or 9 items you can remember. If you go to order drinks in a bar, you can probably remember the order, for example. There's different things you can do to increase it. The short-term memory isn't just about remembering things. It's about your work. It's your working knowledge. It's your working capacity. If you've got a couple of noises from the kitchen going on, if you've got an argument going on in another room, suddenly those 7 or 9 items that are taking your attention are getting filled up, are getting used up. Suddenly you're feeling this overwhelm, right? So your nervous system is screaming that these things that you're trying to subconsciously analyze as threats or challenges or okay or safe, and your brain and your nervous system are trying to do all these things, that's where that overwhelm comes.
That's really interesting. You're trying to really interpret that into a day, like, when I feel stressed, and probably the listeners are just sort of thinking about that, like, okay, so when do I feel overwhelmed? Do I actually have all these different influences coming at me at the time? And probably, and I suppose that really perfectly explains panic attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
For people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes so much sense to me.
I think in terms of my sports sort of psychology background, you can analyze that CBT, the ABC thing, the actuating event, the belief and the circumstance, and you can put it to business and you can put it to a sports event or whatever, but it doesn't really explain that sudden pressure in the moment where you understand it's not a threat and it's not a challenge, it's not a performance pressure, but in that moment, why am I suddenly overwhelmed with emails coming in and people asking requests and the printer going off do you know what I mean? If you sit down and you think, that's all that stuff's happening and my nervous system is on high alert.
I'm pretty sure that I will find myself in situations where I feel the overwhelm coming.
Yeah.
That I will take a seat back and think, okay, let's just analyze the situation, what's happening, and that will probably explain.
Yeah. So much of it is, one of the pieces of the pie of your allostatic load, the sum of all your stress is that environment thing and temperature, or is it too hot, too
Funny
too loud,
enough, I cover in my framework, I cover environment in physical health.
Yeah.
But of course, everything is linked one way or another to at least one or two or three or four other areas. But it just good link that the environmental health links very much to the mental health.
Absolutely.
And the stress management.
Yeah. But if you break it all down to a really simple lens of looking through it as if we're just cavemen, the environment is huge, isn't it? The threats that lie there, or the warmth and the safety.
If you put a caveman into today's world, they wouldn't even know what to do. It was like information overload within seconds.
Oh, well, absolutely, yeah.
But then if you put today's men into a cave,
yeah,
they equally don't know what to do.
No.
Out of place.
I think it's really important to remember that we haven't really developed that our nervous systems, our autonomic nervous system and central nervous system and all that stuff hasn't really developed much.
I mean, the amount of one of the bits of my routine, my daily routine, is to listen to a little 5-minute sort of leadership advice from a leadership mentor. And he regularly brings this up, that our brain is still very much in the same sort of position as it was back then when we were cavemen, and this flight or fight response is still very much from that era, and our brain as such hasn't really evolved with the world that we created around us. It's really quite it becomes quite a paradox that we live in.
If you think about stress and you think about chronic stress, so acute stress is that one thing that happens and you deal with it.
The engine light coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's acute. And you're supposed to be able to deal with it, and you come down off that cortisol spike, you calm down and everything's fine. But then that's not the reality of day-to-day life, is it? Modern life, that actually all these little acute things happen one after the next. And so the stress stays high, and that's where chronic stress comes in.
It just makes me feel like, gosh, we are all living with chronic stress. But actually, we probably are.
Yeah. There's a lot of it around you probably don't even realise.
If we constantly, like, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business owners, if we are all constantly feel wired, which we clearly are as we are uncovering it, even though we know it, but now in the conversation we're very clearly uncovering this. And we are forever reacting and forever exhausted and all that. What kind of small repeatable action can you recommend that we can start doing literally from today or from this week to regulate our stress responses instead of carrying it throughout the day, and then of course it just accumulates?
If we bookend the day and then put something in the middle of the day, I think that's a really good thing to do. So starting the day without going straight on your screens, I think that's really well documented, that's a really positive thing to do.
It's incredibly hard nowadays, isn't it, not to just instantly turn your phone on and expose yourself to
I mean, your alarm's going off, so you get your phone off and it's like, so that's really important. Maybe getting outside and moving if you can before the day really kicks off. Delaying your coffee intake maybe for about 90 minutes before.
That's an interesting. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
My husband says, "How do you operate without coffee?" I said, "Well, I never got hooked on it."
Well, don't start. If you have coffee straight away, then it you're risking that energy crash late morning.
Okay.
Early,
So
early
is there a
afternoon.
significance with the 90-minute delay?
Oh, there probably is, but that's what I try and do.
Fair enough.
But no,
Okay.
yeah, there probably, I can't remember off the top of my
What's the
head.
point of having it 90 minutes later? By then you are up and running and operating.
Yeah, it's just an enjoyable little drink then, isn't it?
Fair enough. So, okay, so something, be kind to yourself in the morning.
Absolutely.
Move,
Yeah,
breathe.
Yeah, absolutely. And the breathing thing is massive. In the afternoon, give yourself a little break where you can do something that creates a state of flow. Have you heard of the flow?
I've heard the phrase state of flow, but
Yeah, state of flow,
what do
yeah.
you mean, if you'd like to elaborate on that?
So I was talking to a chap who is an animator. So it's a creative job anyway, and he's trying really hard to do the stuff, his work, and he just can't think. He's essentially got writer's block, and it probably happens with any business. Doesn't matter what it is, but you're trying really hard to think, and you can't get it out there. He plays piano, a pianist, and he breaks away, and he just tinkles on the thing, tinkles on the ivory, and all the thoughts come back to him again. Same as when you're driving and you're not thinking necessarily, you're doing it automatically, and that's the best time that your ideas come up, right? Or you're in the shower and you're just doing this.
I was going to say, mine is always in the toilet, and I don't carry my phone to the toilet.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, and I'm sitting there coming up with ideas, and by the time I leave the bathroom,
It's
come
gone
up with
again.
menopausal brain.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
no
right.
chance of remembering. And it's gone, and it's like, I can't recall, and it's terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I do remember to take my phone, no thoughts come.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think, the summary of their advice is to have micro breaks, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Micro
Again,
breaks,
it just sort of links to that other theory of only work for 90 minutes at a time, because then your cognitive sort of engagement drops off anyway. So have a little micro break, get up from your desk, that kind of stuff. So that very much links to stress management, then, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And just, I think, but the key part of that is just to find something that's enjoyment, and there is a bit of flow where the definition of flow is doing something that is almost an outer body experience, something you're really good at. That guy's tinkling on his piano, or maybe I'm sat and I'm drawing doing a colouring sheet with my daughter, and actually you're just really enjoying it, you're really into it, and it's time passes and you've enjoyed yourself.
To kind of have a hobby or several hobbies kind of integrated into your life.
Yeah, something that you can just take a pause from the screen, take a pause from work, and it brings you back into this sense of security and connection, and away from an unthinking moment.
Especially getting out into fresh air is such an important part, because that links into breathing as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
How important is deep breathing? Like, not just breathing, we all breathe, but I've discussed it with a couple of other people that we just don't know how to breathe properly.
Yeah. So there was a study a little while ago that they studied 1,993 international elite level athletes, and they found that 90% of them had dysfunctional breathing. Of athletes as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you think about the general public, they're not breathing efficiently, they're not breathing properly, they're not breathing how we were intended to breathe. And so, breath work is one of those things that seems a bit sort of Eastern medicine, a bit woo-woo, but it's really the key. It's so important, and it's really significant, because you breathe without thinking about it, but it's so linked to your stress responses that it's really powerful that if you can control your breath in a stress moment, when your breath rate starts to increase, you can have a really positive impact on your stress response if you control your breathing. And it's just a cyclical thing. I don't like the word empowers you, but it empowers you to do something about that response if you take control of your breathing. And the idea of taking a deep breath is really good, but you've got to make sure that you're doing the proper belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, and you're breathing properly down to your belly rather than the accessory muscles and pulling your ribs and upwards and your shoulders upwards. And that's the dysfunctional breathing that they found in these athletes, that they were using a lot of neck and shoulders to breathe upwards rather than outwards with the lungs and the belly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. And people say, take a deep breath. As a breathe.
It's very high, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very
it's high.
high.
Physically, it's high. Biomechanically, it's high. But also an inward breath stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress response, right? And the outward breath, the purposeful outward breath, is your parasympathetic response is your rest and digest.
Okay. Is it why it's advised to like breathe in for, let's say, a count of 3 or 4 and
Yep.
breathe out for twice as long?
You double the out breath. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I love breathing exercises, really do.
Yeah.
But I also discovered that like sitting up, you can't breathe quite so deep. But if you lay down, you can breathe in forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of space there is.
Yeah. If you do that sort of high-low breathing, so you're like a hand on your chest, hand on your belly, lying down, and you can properly
The difference is
properly,
massive.
yeah, absolutely. Have you heard of box breathing?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
really well publicised.
I do meditation practices have been for like nearly 4 years. So these kind of things come up.
Yeah.
The breathe in for a count and for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4 and hold it for 4.
Yeah, which is great, but then you're not thinking about the extended out breath. When you're using that visual cue of the box, it's obviously a square. The out breath is the same length as the in breath. So just maybe like door breathing, where you're just thinking about the longer out breath. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they all have their own purpose, don't they? The different kind of breathing techniques.
I suppose box breathing in that moment, it's easy to remember and it can get you out, and it's something purposeful to get you out of that moment that's causing the stress. Yeah. But that brings me to the later part of the day. You said about
of course, to finish off, to have the morning, midday, and
is
the
just
end, the bookend.
I would say, absolutely. Is the breath work, is the longer breathing. I like the sort of counting sheep thing, where you're breathing in your bed, you're breathing in for 2 seconds and you're breathing out for 4 seconds. And then you're breathing in for 3 seconds and you're breathing out for 6 seconds. Do you know what I mean? So
how long can you go?
Yeah, well, it doesn't, and then it becomes stressful. So don't do it too long, but maybe just till you get up to 4 seconds in and 8 seconds out. But you don't want it to become stressful where you're trying to blow out for another couple of seconds.
No, that would just be interesting. Like literally just tested how long you can go.
I don't know. I'm already asleep.
I think I'll probably that as well.
Yeah.
Because I do a bit of nighttime meditation just before I go to bed. It helps me sleep. Not just in the moment, but I notice that when I don't get around to doing it, I have a much more restless night. And the
whole night.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And that's a very recent thing for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, the meditation session generally starts with a breathing exercise. And that's how I discovered that you can breathe so much deeper when you're laying down. It's incredible how much your whole upper body opens up.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely credit it to that breathing exercise part of the meditation. And then I desperately try and pay attention, and I fall asleep so quickly.
Yeah.
But then in the morning, I notice that I slept better when I do the exercise when compared to when I don't.
On the bedtime thing, do you journal at bedtime?
No, I would like to. I'm being encouraged to.
Yeah.
But I haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah.
I've now got like a daily routine template put together.
Yeah, nice.
That will allow me. Well, there's a space for it.
Yeah.
I did do a 6-week program in the autumn running up to Christmas, which included like the end of day journaling.
Yeah.
And I quite liked some parts of it, so I would like to carry those through, and so created my own template from it.
Yeah, nice.
I did it with a mentor.
The term gratitude journaling. Have you?
Oh, yeah, I used to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in some ways or another. Like for me, it became like a morning thing. I do it in the cold shower, and I also do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like a smile.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
As soon as it's like before I have the thought of I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
As soon as I notice having that thought, I smile.
Yeah.
And then it goes.
Yeah. Right.
And then I say a few positive gratitude things in my mind that I'll get to do X, Y, Z during that day. And I'm grateful for the universe for another day and whatever comes.
Yeah.
But I used to, actually, that's when my cold shower started about 3.5 years ago. It was like a challenge by one of my mentors that do 7 things. And one of it was a cold shower, and one of it was like 10 good things that happened to you that day, or 10 bits of gratitude at the end of the day.
Yeah. The gratitude thing of it, at the end of the day, maybe it's quite hard to motivate yourself to do it, and it feels a bit funny doing it and feels a bit...
We already established that motivation comes last. So you just need to be determined to do whatever you want to happen.
Yeah. I also think that maybe it doesn't feel accessible for some people, that feel like it's maybe a bit woo-woo, just thinking like
gratitude.
3 things. Yeah. 3 things that you feel grateful about feels a bit funny, but it works.
I mean, you've got to be such a negative person to not be able to think of 3 positive things in a day.
Yeah. Doing it in the first place, I think there's a bit of a hurdle there, isn't there? That people maybe think, oh, I don't know, it feels funny that. But it really works. And not only does it mean that it brings a bit of positive clarity about your day, but also then you get into the routine of it and you start thinking throughout as something good happens in the day, and it's a little light bulb moment. You think, oh, I'm going to write that later, and it just draws your attention in that moment to that good thing that's happening, and creates a bit of a positivity for the day.
If we are honest with ourselves, who do we think the stress regulation really threatens? The person who wants to feel better, or the person whose identity is built on being busy and tough?
I think that's a really good question. I'd definitely say it's the latter, isn't it? That people get a lot of motivation from being always on and looking like they're always on and looking like they're busy and productive all the time. And it's like a badge of honor, isn't it? Sometimes being stressed and burnt out. I'd definitely say the latter.
Yeah, I do agree with that. We have this, it's like a society set rule, isn't it? That we want to have a badge of honor of all sorts. And stress is certainly not one of it.
No.
So I think to be a successful business person, a successful entrepreneur, we really do need to pay attention to managing our stress, don't we?
Absolutely.
Sam, thank you very much for joining me in the studio.
You're welcome.
It's been a very interesting, very educational conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you.
If this conversation made you think, please subscribe, leave a comment and listen again. If you would like more information on the topic or my guest, all the information are in the show notes. Build routines, bank results.